Welcome to this episode of the She Scales podcast, where today we're going to be talking about the biggest mistakes I see when you're launching your one-to-many offers. This is going to be a juicy AF podcast episode for you. I've broken down, let me just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 reasons why. No, 13 ways for you to be mistakes that I see, problems that I see, or strategies that didn't work. And I'm going to be sharing not just all those things so that you can correct them for the future, but also why that thing didn't work, to give you some color to the picture, to give you the reasoning behind, so that whether you're coming at it differently next time or you're coming at it wanting to either refine on what you did last time, or if you're earlier in your launching journey but you want to hit the ground running from the get-go and not make these mistakes, boom. You're going to find so much value from this episode. It might not be joyful for some of you. Some of you are going to be like, God damn, can you not drag me, Sarah? But I'll put my hands up. I've done a lot of these. I don't think I've done all of them. This is a collection of either things that I've done and learned the hard way from, or that I've supported clients and I've seen either their energy change or their strategy change, and then it's cost them in certain ways. So this is a collection of either my own lived experience or things that I've seen either clients or people in the industry do, so that I can give you all of this value so that you can not do these things in future, so that you can knock your next launch out of the freaking park. How does that sound? Whoop, whoop. Okay. Now, launching is an incredible way to bring additional surplus cash flow into the business. This is an incredible way to bring, and not just cash flow, it brings a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum, it brings a lot of eyeballs, a lot of traffic. I see launching as a whole party, and it just brings so many more people to the yard who are either coming directly into your world for this offer that you're launching, or potentially they're coming into other offers that might be a better fit for them right now, and they're just trying you on in a different way. I find that whenever I'm launching something, I always see sales across other offers. Maybe it's another program, maybe I'm booking one-to-one clients, maybe I'm selling a group program, but I'm also having people sign up for VIP days, or they're buying a one-to-one with me, or they're buying a power hour, or they're signing up for a content course. When you bring so much visibility into the business, that will overflow into all your other offers. So launching is an incredible way to bring not just more cash into the business, more clients into the business, but also massively more visibility and sales across your other offers as well. Everything is going to be a ripple of greatness across the business. Your email list is going to grow, your audience is going to grow, your visibility, how you're known within the wider industry, your brand, and also your client experience, because every time you go through something and have this incredible experience, they get to enjoy that with you and see you grow as a mentor, a leader, or coach, provider. So there's so many benefits to be had. But I do want to caveat this by saying your business shouldn't be reliant on launching. There should be a good level of momentum and speed and proof coming through the business, and that is what you're going to scale with your launch. So if you're not already seeing that, launching something isn't a great time, because there needs to be already some level of speed coming through the business in order to put your foot down, which is what a launch is. Launch is you ramping things up. You're going to find it difficult to really speed things up if there's not already speed coming through the business. So I just want to say that launching is incredible, but don't build a business that is completely reliant on launching. Make sure you've got a good solid business already, and this then can help you skyrocket. Alrighty, so now I've put together a list of 13 things. And I've broken these down by, first few are about the offer itself. Cannot have a good launch if you don't have a good offer. So there's that. Then I've broken some down into your specific launch strategy, and then a few into content and how you're actually promoting this offer. So I'm going to run through these. As I said, this might not be comfortable for some of you, might not enjoy this episode, but it is going to be valuable for you. And so whether you're someone that's listening to these being like, God damn, Sarah, can you not? I say this with love. This is all stuff that you can learn from. And as I say, I've done most of these. I've probably done all of them at some point. And so I've had many, many different types of launches. I've launched group programs, short courses, long courses. I've launched live events, online events, in-person events, high ticket offers, low ticket offers, webinars, live masterclasses, 3-day challenges, like you name it. Facebook groups, Telegram groups, like you name it, I've done it. Okay. So we're going to get into what these things are. Maybe I'll freestyle around. There might be others that come through while we get into the list, but these were just 13 that rolled off my tongue when I was thinking about creating this episode. So first few ones are about the offer itself. Number one is the biggest mistake I see when it comes to offers is creating an offer that people don't want or need. My goodness, that cannot be downplayed or underestimated. If you're creating something that you're not absolutely sure that people want and need, like there's no proof that it's wanted or needed, why are you creating it? Why are you going through the effort of a 6 to 8 week launch period to bring massive visibility to this thing that you don't know for sure is wanted? Because if you don't know that it's wanted, then that tells me you haven't done the proof, you haven't done the prior research to know that this thing is needed. Have you ever seen a product being launched into the market where they didn't go and research the market? No. And so why do people do it with services? Why do people go and create, like, whether it's digital products, whether it's offers, courses, without doing any freaking research? Like, this baffles me. I'm going to try and get annoyed about it because, like, this should be ground one. Ground step one, whatever. Go research what is actually wanted and needed. This kind of coming into launch strategy, but 100%, you should not be bringing out something that you don't know, not think, not assume, know is wanted and needed. Because when you have that level of knowledge, that level of knowing, you know it's wanted and needed, think about how much more confidently you're going to show up to sell that thing, because you're like, well, duh, I know it's wanted and needed. It's either going to serve you or it's going to serve someone else. Your energy around selling the thing is totally different when you know that people want it. Because if you don't know that people want it and you're just trying to guess and hope and wish, that energy is what will be showing up in your launch. It'll be I think that this is valuable rather than I know that this is valuable. And that energy, because, let's just carry on this trail of thought. Sales is easy when you're certain in what you're offering. The goal being dropped here. Drop me a message if this is what you needed to hear. Sales is easy when you offer certainty. Now, that certainty is not just going to be around like your process inside the offer and your ability to deliver results, but it's also going to be around your knowledge around that thing, your self-belief in that thing. There's one thing to create a good process, but if you've got any kind of heebie-jeebies around the offer itself, you're not going to sell it with the same sort of certainty and self-assurity. And from a buyer's perspective, they want to be certain in you. So you have to be certain. If you're not certain, then that will create mistrust with the audience and they're not going to buy. So when you're thinking about how can I have easy, no-brainer sales, well, the easiest thing is to create something you know people want and need, because then you will show up to sell it with such a certain energy. You'll sell it with conviction. You'll sell it with main character energy. You'll show up like, well, duh, why wouldn't you buy this? Because it clearly bangs and clearly it's going to change your life. So either you move on this and we can change your life together, or somebody else will, and we'll work with those. So that level of certainty creates a high level of trust for buyers. So creating this thing that you know is wanted and needed. P.S. That's rooted in your market research. Go ask people what they want and need, and then fucking create it. It's not rocket science, guys, but a lot of people skip this step, and I'm like, why? If you were launching a new perfume, high-end luxury perfume, that's going to be in, every shop across the country, and you were coming at this being like, I want to be at the forefront of the market and I want to be up there with the top players, would you just go straight to the factory and start creating scents? No. You'd go and research what is out there. What is the packaging like? What is the pricing like? What is the sales on that product like? When do they sell? When are their key sales periods? How do they present things within the shelf? Where do they advertise? You do so much research about what is already out there on the market, as well as your own research to find out what your ideal customers really want. And then you go create that thing so that you're really clear in how your thing is different to what's already out there and that it's filling a need within the market. Whether that's like the luxury premium end or something that is really affordable and fun, or the personality of the product, or all of those things. So do not skip that stage. Now, another thing about the offer itself is not just creating something that people want and need, it's also creating an offer that is irresistible. Oh, because it's one thing to create an offer. It's another thing entirely to know how to create an irresistible offer. Now, I'm going to do a whole nother episode on this because it's juicy. And just using my own experience of the last week, is it? I think it is. The last 7 days alone, I've been in the room and heard, having gone in the morning and driven to that room, being like, I'm not investing today. I'd gone from a hard no, but I'd been presented with 2 irresistible offers, 2 different events, and invested in both of them because they were both, regardless of the fact that they were both 5-figure offers. So this isn't something that was like cheap or bingeable. They were high end, like long term, and for me, life changing because it changes my plans again significantly. And so I'd gone from a no, was presented with 2 separate life changing offers that I would have been crazy to not say yes to. That is the result of an irresistible offer, as in someone, when you're presenting something to someone that it's a great fit for, they want it, they know that they would benefit from it, and then you make it irresistible and you give them that opportunity, that window of time to either make the move or miss out. That irresistible offer, girl, it's meant that I've made 2 large investments within the last week, having been a no in the morning. That is the power of an irresistible offer. I'm not saying I regret these because I absolutely don't. I'm well excited for them, both of them. Had I planned to invest at that level? No. That is the power of an invisible offer. Invisible offer, irresistible offer. So I'm going to do a whole other episode on what makes an offer irresistible. But if I was to do it in a nutshell, it's making your offer so good they would feel crazy saying no. Now that's going to be part around what's in the offer itself. It's going to be part around the urgency to act now rather than act later. It's going to be part around bonuses that you offer for the immediate sign up that won't be available later on down the line. Maybe there's an exclusive opportunity in there. There's going to be various things that relate to either time, need, or price that make that offer not just good, but freaking irresistible. This is where, again, if you've skipped your market research, you don't know your ideal clients and what they would find so invaluable, you're going to struggle to put together an irresistible offer because you don't know what they find valuable. Whereas when you know that information, when you make it so good they'd feel crazy saying no, you've got people eating, like jumping to take your offer. And why wouldn't you? Because it's going to change their life. And you've positioned something that is juicy AF. So that's number 2, is not creating an offer that is truly irresistible. If you've positioned a truly irresistible offer, people will be jumping at the bit to come and work with you. Number 3, this is still under offer, so it's not having a clear process for client results. When you're creating your one-to-many offer especially, but even one-to-one offers, there needs to be a clear process for people to get results, because I think people are far more offer aware these days. They see a lot around messaging, and most of your buyers, this isn't going to be their first purchase or first investment. So they're wise to messaging, and in a lot of cases, they're wise to false promises that aren't delivered, unfortunately, especially within the coaching space. And so your process for getting results needs to be in there. What I mean by this is you will have been taught, and this is the right way to sell and to sign clients, is to lead with the benefits first. Sell the flights, sell the destination, not the flights. And so to a large extent, the how didn't used to be important at all. It's like an afterthought because people want what they're going to get and they want the results. They don't really care about how you're getting them there. But we've seen a real shift because there's so many people creating programs that they aren't able to deliver the transformation that they're promising. They're promising these results, and actually people are getting into these programs and realizing that that's not what's being delivered inside, and they've been burnt. So there is now a far greater need for you to be showing your process to deliver those results. So yes, it will still come later in the sales story, but it does need to be present. So what is your actual steps to get someone the results that you're marketing, and can they look over those steps and see that if they went through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, that they would be able to get the results that you're marketing? If they can, and that's no-brainer, then saying yes is going to be a no-brainer. But if they're looking at your results that you're promising and they're looking at the steps to get them there, and there's any kind of confusion as to, well, how would that work for me? And does it make sense to them? Because if it doesn't make sense to them, it's not going to be a no-brainer offer. If they can't look at that process and be like, yeah, I see how that works and how that could work for me, they're not going to buy. So clear process is essential. Number 4, and this is the one they added in at the start, is not pricing your offer for scalability. Now, launching, you can launch a low ticket offer, mid ticket offer, high ticket offer. And this will go back to what your individual launch goals and what the purpose of this offer is, because maybe you only want to launch something low ticket and the purpose is to create volume and to bring a lot of people in at a low level. But maybe the purpose of your launch is to bring out a high ticket program, in which case your pricing strategy needs to reflect the value of the program. Because I see a lot of people massively undervaluing themselves and massively undercharging and trying to position that this offer will, help the client to be an industry leader, a thought leader, position you as an authority, the no-brainer choice, whilst the price point for it says that the person offering the program doesn't believe that or doesn't back themselves. And so there can be that disconnect between, again, and this is where people are going to look at all parts of this program, and if there's any kind of mistrust that's created, then they're not going to buy. So if you're saying that the program is going to do all of this stuff, but then the pricing doesn't reflect that, there's that mistrust that's created because you're saying it's going to be this all singing, all dancing, and it's going to change their life. But what you're charging for it is not something that reflects life-changing. It reflects strong average. So your pricing needs to match the value that you are delivering. So that is the 4 things around the offer itself in terms of biggest mistakes you're making with your launches. Because if we don't have a good, juicy, irresistible offer that's priced well and has a clear process for results, ain't no point getting started with the launch. That's the business basics. So now let's get into launch strategy. And we've got quite a few different things here, so get your pen and paper ready. So number 4 is putting too much pressure on your launch because you're relying on it for cash flow. Oosh. Put your hands up. As you're listening to this, wherever you are, put your hands up if you've been guilty of doing this. Girl, I have. My hand is up. But I'm going to say this, the reason why this is a mistake is that launching shouldn't be something that you're putting all your hopes and dreams on, as in like this has to work or else, because you're going to show up so differently in your launch to sell the thing if you're not already having an incredible experience in your business, because you're going to show up with need. That's not an abundant energy to sell with. If you're showing up with like, this needs to work and I need to sign clients, that's got this like push energy, like I have to go do X and this needs to work for me. And it's just such a repellent energy. People pick up on that. And no one's going to want to buy when you're trying so hard to pull that you're actually creating a push. You're like magnetizing people away. But also for you, from a launching should allow you to pick up speed from the speed you've already created. As in, if you're on the motorway, you're already in the middle lane. You can tell I've been doing a fair amount of driving this summer, can't you? If you're in the middle lane, launching helps you to get into the fast lane, but you wouldn't go into the fast lane from the hard shoulder. You wouldn't go from a standing start and then try and get into the fast lane, because not only are you gonna like fuck things up for you, you're gonna fuck things up for everybody around you, because it's just gonna be chaos. You're gonna be trying to pick up speed where there isn't any speed, and then trying to wonder why your car won't go straight into fifth gear and you've stalled in the motorway, and then it's like it's difficult, it's not working, and you're all like and it's stressful. It's hella stressful. And so, using that same metaphor, there needs to be a good level of speed coming through the business. You need to be at least in lane one, or ideally the middle lane. And so things are working. You're already getting speed. You're already signing clients. You're already seeing good cash flow through the business. Launching then is adding that scale on top of it. It's speeding up what's already working, rather than trying to go 0 to 100 and then wondering why you're stalled in the middle lane. All right. So putting too much pressure on your launch because you're relying on it for cash flow kills your energy, kills your vibe, and just adds a whole level of stress that is not magnetic for people to buy from. Be in a good place already and then sell from that good place, because it's totally different energy. Number 2 is not giving yourself enough time. So I see this with clients that want to rush things through because they're keen to have this thing out there, but then they realize that they haven't left themselves enough time. Whether that's enough time to warm up your audience, whether it's enough time to promote your masterclass, whether it's enough time with doors open and available to buy, or enough time to actually create the urgency towards the end of the doors closed period, so that you can be reminding people exactly when are the doors closing, when do they need to make a decision by, what will happen if they don't move in that time, what will they lose or what won't be available next time. So actually giving yourself enough time to execute a well executed launch. Give yourself enough time. Now, what time you give will depend on many things, like your own availability to be posting, how hot your audience already is. So if your audience is cold, for example, it's going to take you longer to build up that email list and build up that awareness and build up that trust with your audience. Whereas if you've already got a hot audience and you drop offers all the time, people buy all the time, then you can have a faster launch period because people are already ready. So give yourself enough time. Don't underserve yourself by trying to rush things through. And again, then not leaving yourself enough time to pull things off to the level that you want to pull them off to. Doesn't serve you to be scrambling around last minute, not finishing things to the level that you would like them to be finished with. And then especially when you're like proud or a high achiever, if those things aren't done to the level that you would like them to be done, you're only going to leave yourself a little bit disheartened, knowing that you actually could have done better. And so we don't want to have that feeling. You want to be proud of your work all the way through. So allow yourself enough time. The third one under this category, and number 7 overall, is not doing enough market research beforehand. We touched on this number 1 with creating an offer that people don't want or need. When you do your market research, you know you'll be creating something that's wanted and needed, because you've gone and asked people exactly what they're struggling with, exactly what they're frustrated about, what's the impact of that on their day-to-day, what would they love to know how to be able to do, have, or experience that comes naturally to you, or is that that's your trained area of skill? What is your zone of genius that just is not the zone of genius for many others? So go and ask people so that you can get their words, their language, their lingo, the way that they phrase things, because not only is that going to give you certainty and clarity around your offer, it's also going to give you the exact messaging that you'll create your content with. And when you're thinking about marketing, this is where all your content comes from. It's using the words and phrases that your own ideal clients used during a market research. How do they describe their problems or challenges or lived experience? And then go create content on that. Go write your sales page from that. Go write your emails from that. Yeah, so that market research is like your golden ticket to the rest of your messaging being done. Number 4 is not creating enough momentum and launching to a cold audience. So this is partly leading off the time piece, but really building enough momentum, because you can go quicker or slower. But building enough momentum is about building up the need, the excitement, the hype around this thing coming ahead of it coming. So if you're finding that your audience is really cold, they're not very responsive, you're not getting whole lot of DMs, you're not getting a whole lot of questions, you're not getting a whole lot of client results right now, perhaps now isn't the time to be launching a one-to-many offer. Because again, if you're wanting to scale up from one-to-one to one-to-many, or launch your next group program, your next course, and get a high level of signups, but you're currently not seeing a level of signups already, and you're wanting to increase that, so more visibility, more excitement, there needs to be already excitement within the business. You're turning up the volume, not switching the volume on. It needs to already be on. So when you're thinking about building up momentum, and if you scroll down on these episodes, I've done a whole episode on momentum. I think it's called If Your Launch Feels Stretchy, Here's What You're Missing. Maybe I'll retitle that so it's actually got momentum in the title, because that is what that episode is about. So definitely go down and listen to that, all about momentum. The next one is launching something you're not in love with or aligned with. Oosh! That is a huge one. Now, I'm someone that I have to be fully in alignment with the offer. If there's any kind of the offer I don't feel like either aligned about, or I feel sticky about, or it just doesn't seem to sit with me, I'll walk away from the launch, because it doesn't make sense for me to bring out something I'm not 100% a hell yes with. If I don't know with a surety that I can deliver that, then I'm not. And so I think there's only been one launch that I've properly abandoned literally about halfway through. And when I say this, I'd launched, this was back in, I'm going to say it was like January 2022. In the January, I'd launched a low ticket offer and had like really high amount of signups. So it was like a mini course. And so I think there'd been about 25 people that had bought that. And it was 8 mini trainings. And in the last one, because I knew I was going to bring out the next offer, I'd actually mentioned what the offer was going to be at the end of the mini training. So I'd had however many people messaging me saying, I can't wait for this next thing. They were so excited for it. So I'd got an audience, I knew it was needed, and I'd got people ready to pay me for this thing. And you know, I still couldn't get behind it. Still couldn't get behind it, because and I'd never really put my finger on what it was, but I didn't need to. I didn't need to feel like, what is the reason? Ultimately, I didn't want to, and that was enough. And so I'd already started marketing it, I'd already started creating content and promoting it, but it just didn't feel aligned to me. And so I went live to be like, here's why I'm cancelling my launch, because I'm never going to launch something that is totally out of integrity. I'm either all in, or you're not going to see me launch it. That's just the way I do things. I have a high amount of pride in my work, and I would never launch something that I don't think is going to change your life. And so, yes, that was just a little freestyle there, but launching something you're not in love with or aligned with, that was a really good lesson for me, that I need to be obsessed with the offer. And it means that during my market research stage, if I'm not obsessed with the offer, I really have to sit and look at it and be like, why am I not obsessed with it yet? What would need to change to make me obsessed with this offer? How can I be the first one that falls in love with this, so that it's going to be really easy to show up and sell this thing, because I am the first person that's sold on it. So there we go. I want to add another little one onto here. I'm going to add, I'm going to come to these. So what's that? We're going to be on 15. Write some quick notes whilst we're going, whilst I talk you through the next one. So the next one is not allowing self-care time to rebuild your energy and mindset throughout your launch. Oof, letting yourself get depleted. Because I totally get there's a lot of do when there's in the launch, you know, whether it's writing and scheduling the emails, or writing and creating the content, going live, creating videos, having conversation in DMs. Maybe it's recording extra podcasts. Maybe it's speaking inside other people's groups. You're doing a lot in your launch because you want to bring massive visibility to your page ahead of you releasing this new offer. So you're doing the most to get in all of these places, to get in front of as many eyes as possible, to let them know that you're bringing this thing out. So I totally get that there's a lot of do. But you cannot be launching from being in an empty cup. If you're not looking after yourself, if you're not prioritizing your self-care, if you're not looking after your mindset and getting your main character energy every day, then you're going to show up with such a lackluster energy. People aren't going to want to buy from that. Again, when we think about that push-pull, if you're not coming from a place of like abundance and just like, this offer is incredible and here's why I love it, and that natural glow that you have when you're happy and looking after yourself, if you're showing up the opposite of that with this kind of like need energy and looking a little bit tired and looking a little bit disheveled and just got this like, hey, sort of energy, or worse, not showing up at all because you're tired and depleted or ill. How many people get ill during their launch because actually their sleep pattern went out the window, or they neglected their diet, or they just started eating crap, or like for some reason a lot of people throw their health out the window when they're in the launch period, and that's the last thing you should do. So make sure you're focusing on your like rebuilding your energy, rebuilding your mindset, allowing some self-care time for you regularly throughout the launch, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one. So the next one is not driving enough urgency. Locking in. I'm adding some more because I want to give you guys all the things. So not driving enough urgency. 50% of people buy from FOMO, fear of missing out. Up to 50% of people buy from FOMO. That means, and it can mean, that up to 50% of people buy on the last day of your launch. So if you pull out early, don't go all the way through, or don't give people like clear guidance on when is the deadline, when do things expire, when do they need to move by, then you miss out on like potentially 50% of the total sales for your launch. So make sure it's really, really clear, like drive urgency. I'm also someone that has in the past, I don't do this anymore, but I am someone that in the past has left it right until the last minute to decide because I want to watch other people go first. And 100% have been like within the last half an hour of cart closing, and I get that, oh my God, I can't not be in this room. And I'm like messaging the person being like, send me the link, and hopping in last minute. Have been that person in the past. PS, these people are in your audience. PS, that person I'd never messaged before. They didn't even know I was watching, hadn't liked any of their content. I was just sort of watching. So you have to have a level of like trust and self-assurance and back yourself. Those people are always watching. They're just waiting for the moment that they see the right thing for them, and that will depend on their personality type and what they want to see. So there's your little note to, maybe you should add that on as well. Oh, yeah, okay. Back it. Let's add that one on next. Alrighty. I mean, that one could be an entire personality. Hang on. Okay. That also needs to be a new episode on itself. So, there's so much good stuff coming through. Oh my God, we're on half an hour already. Okay. So not driving enough urgency, not really allowing people to go right until the minute and right until the deadline, see what they need to see, and be able to come in and like really speak to FOMO. By the way, I've 100% seen this in my own launches, and I've made the timer clear in any way that people find me that they've known about the timer, so that they know when doors are closing, you know, whether it's on my Instagram stories, whether it's in my captions, whether it's in my email, maybe it's a banner across the sales page, so that no matter where people are coming to find me, they're aware of what the time frame is that they've got to make this decision. Now, have I still had people joining within the last half an hour? I absolutely have. Have I still had people joining an hour after doors are closed? Yes, I have. I've had people message me being like, Sarah, I was out, I missed the thing. Is it possible that I could still join? Yes, I have. Again, you don't have to, you might be a hard no for you, and like if you missed it, you missed it. But this is the thing, when you let people know when is the time they need to decide by, so that they can send you that message. And most people, if they're really interested, they don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And people are busy. Don't forget, people are busy. So as much as you can think that you've done as much as you can to let them know about when things are happening, People forget, so you have to remind them again and again and again and again. So this is what I mean. No matter where people are coming to find you, they need to hear about, when is this thing happening? What is the decision that they need to make? By when? Exactly how many hours, minutes, and days have they got to make this decision? Remind people multiple times. So that's driving urgency. The next one I wanted to touch on was personality type content. So this is about speaking to the type of people that you're in your audience, and also the type of people that you want inside your programs. So there's the element of what personality type is your dream client, and of course make content in line with what your dream client would want to see. But that's not to put all of your eggs in one basket and only speak to one type of person, because like me, for example, I lean heavy on two personality types, like of the four that are out there. Well, depending on which test you use, but anyway, I have qualities that go across various different personality profiles, but they tend to be strong in two areas. However, becoming a business owner has changed, because I used to be just strong in one area only, whereas becoming a business owner, and through experience and investments and my own learning journey, I change personality type depending on like the person that I'm investing in, and also what I want to get from that investment. What I'm saying is I can be a chameleon between different personality profiles, so I don't want to only see one type of content. So when you're sharing the types of content that you're using to promote your offers, make sure you've got stuff in there that speaks to each different type of personality type. Yes, these should be written down your sales page anyway, so you've likely already done this. You're just not bringing it enough into your content and repeating enough. So think about looking at your offer and the different personality types, what each one would need to see, and then creating specific sales stories that would speak to each type of person. So not using that, that is a high level of skill. To be fair, there's not many people that I see that do this well. So I'm just giving you a little insider access. But this is, when you learn how to do this, this is a superpower. Coming to the last few on launch strategy. So not focusing enough on your pre-launch. Your pre-launch is, as is in the name, pre is before the launch. This is the period where before you've started promoting your offer, it's you getting ready, you getting your ducks in line. This is where you're doing your market research. This is where you're finalizing what the offer is, what it's going to be. You're finalizing the messaging for it. You're creating the branding for it. You might decide to do all of your asset building during pre-launch so that you can get it out of the way, so that when you actually start promoting this offer, you're all for sales and energy and showing up and going live. And all of your energy can be focused on promotion, not in build. So it might be that you want to do all of your build during pre-launch, or at least a good amount of it. And so, yeah, it's doing the things that are important to you to get done before you start promoting anything. Because as soon as you start the wheel in motion of promoting, then you need to be keeping that up and showing up, going live, getting visible, doing the most. So it's bringing all of the things forward out of your launch that, whether they are not your zone of genius, bring that into your pre-launch. Whether it's a big time kill for you or a big buzz kill for you, bring that into your pre-launch so that you can get those things done and off your plate and set up or built or whatever it is, set in place, so that when you start your launch, you can just be in your best energy and play into your strengths and in your zone of genius as much as possible. So not focusing enough on pre-launch will massively cost you later on down the line if you're trying to just fly by the seat of your pants, get stuff done on the fly. Girl, I've had some horrible experiences where I left the build of my sales page until I think it was like the day before my masterclass, and it was on like my old platform, and it was so clunky to build anything. So what I thought was going to be like a 2-hour turnaround, it took me 8 hours to build the sales page. And even then, it wasn't that high converting. So the day before my masterclass, all of my efforts and time were spent because the sales page just was not ready, because I'd left it till the last minute. But what that did is take a massive amount of time out of a key sales period when I should have been promoting my masterclass and encouraging the right people to sign up for that. I wasn't. I was stuck staring at a screen, frustrated, pissed off, building this sales page, hating my life. So don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. Focus all the stuff that you don't want to be doing later on in the launch. Get that done in your pre-launch so that your actual promotion period can be spent doing the things that you do best. And then the last one on launch strategy is locking in early pre-sales. So this is where you've started your launch, you've started doing the promo, and you've let people know when your key sales period is coming up. You've started advertising when your masterclass or your launch event is coming up. But before that, you've had a specific launch strategy. So whether that is starting an early waitlist, whether that is creating a close friends list and doing some promo to people that you know would be like your hottest buyers, whether it is doing some teasers on stories, whether it is offering a pre-sale rate to people that jump in before you even get to the launch period, whatever it is for you, like when you lock in pre-sales and you've got people jumping into your offer before you even publicly open the doors, that is going to change the way that you show up throughout your main launch period. That cart opened, doors closed, doors open, doors closed. It's just going to change the way that you show up massively. So I'd 100%, when I see people going into their main launch period and they haven't focused on pre-sales, aka there's no one signed up yet, and that is when you have got to be really strong in your energy and really strong that you know that offer is going to bang to still hold your own throughout that week, especially if people don't sign up on day one, that you still need to be showing up like strong, confident, grounded to show up and sell that offer every day, whilst people come in whatever dribs, drabs, or high peak and then a bit more stable, and as it fluctuates throughout the launch. So that can do a wonder for your nervous system, not in a good way. It can put you through quite the challenge. So if you want to avoid that and you want your launch period to be as joyful and stress-free and fun as possible, lock in pre-sales. This is your way of calling in the people who are your best fit clients to take action early, and there's some incentive to do so that when those people join, those are your most loyal people, your hottest people, so that when you're walking into your main launch period, you've already got an incredible group already signed up, and it totally shifts your energy during your main launch period. Okay, and then coming on to the last ones. So we've got content. So mistakes I see here are not being specific enough in your content to make your audience aware of why they're not getting the results that they want. Your content throughout your launch period should be really like leaning into problem aware content. What is not going right for people? Why is that not going right for them? What are they doing that they thought would work that isn't working, that you have a different way of doing, that you can show them a different or better way? So be specific in your content, in your messaging, to show people that you really understand what they're struggling with. You see them, you get them, you understand them, and that you can help them. Make sure your content speaks to like specific problems, as well as showing what life could look like after they've taken action. So make it specific. No more generic content. No more generic messaging. I see messaging like skyrocket, unleash, confidence, clarity. Those are 4 that come to mind. But it basically is ChatGPT language. So instantly, I know that that person doesn't have clarity on what the offer brings, because if they did, they would be using vague messaging. It's always the ones that say you can get confidence and clarity, and those words just don't give confidence or clarity, because it says that there's nothing tangible. It's too grey area. So if you're guilty of using those words, this is your signal. Take those out. Put what you mean in as literal as possible. Specifically, what are your clients going to get? What do they want? What are they going to get? So yes, specificity. And then lastly, not being visible enough. So this is your face to camera content. We build trust through seeing people. People buy from people. They don't buy from your graphics. They don't buy from just endless hiding behind pretty graphics. There needs to, like, when you lean into video content, talk to cam content, it builds a high amount of trust. So perhaps you've been too heavily reliant on graphics up until now and you're not being visible enough. So I encourage you for your next launch, be as visible as possible. Make your face unforgettable. Make it so that people can't not see your face, because then the level of trust that's created and the willingness to come into your programs or offers is going to be so much higher because they can see you. So be teaching what you know on video content. So doing long form content, whether that's going live, whether that's, I am also going to say podcast content, because whilst it's not, I wouldn't class it as visibility in terms of you can't see my face right now, it still builds a high amount of trust because you just heard me talking for 45 minutes so far, dropping nothing but value. So you know what it's going to be like to work with me. So just from hearing my voice, you can still build a high amount of trust and imagine what being on a call with me would like. So there's a lot less questions that people would have as a prospective buyer when they're like, oh, I've never worked with this person before. What might it be like? What would my experience be like? When you create video content or long form content, that just removes so much more of any questions that people might have. It just builds your authority to a whole nother level. So there's a few different things in there for you. Amazing. We've come to the end of the biggest mistakes that I see when people are launching. Now, this has been a way longer episode than I thought, but I know that you will get so much value from this. I wonder if this will be in one of the top performers on the podcast now. Let me know if you found this valuable. Which were the ones that really spoke to you? Which have you either been guilty of in the past, or which will you be looking to actively not do either at all or not do again? Was this a good reminder for you going into your next launch? Honestly, I cannot wait to hear about your next launches, whether it's a course, whether it's a group program, a membership, mastermind, retreat, live event. I want to know. So come send me a message on Insta, Sarah Buckland Coaching. Send me a message about what you're launching and what value you took from this episode. And if you liked this episode, I would absolutely love if you could share it to your stories, or share it on social media so that we can help more people to have even better launches going forward. Amazing. Now, if you want one of my free trainings, I've dropped a free training in the comments here, so that you can launch your offer and scale your business with ease. So click below to get the free training. But in the meantime, I will see you inside the next episode.